Nobody tells you this part. Before you find peace, you'll feel chaos. Before you grow, you'll feel broken. And before you become strong, you will suffer. But that's not failure. That's the beginning. We often admire strength, the comeback stories, the victories, the breakthroughs. But we rarely acknowledge the part that comes before, the suffering, the silence, the despair. It's uncomfortable, so we skip over it. But real transformation doesn't start in triumph. It starts in turmoil. Before we can rise, something within us has to fall apart. Suffering has a purpose most people don't recognize. It strips away illusions. It shakes loose the false identities we've clung to. People pleaser, the perfectionist, the achiever, and leaves us staring at the raw, real self beneath. That's the foundation from which true growth begins. Spiritual traditions across the world echo this truth. The Buddha's enlightenment followed years of suffering. Jesus faced his greatest test in the desert before stepping into his mission. These stories aren't just historical. They are symbolic of the human journey. Suffering is not the end, it's the threshold. Scientifically, emotional pain activates the same parts of the brain as physical pain. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between a heartbreak and a broken bone. This means the struggle is real, but so is the opportunity to rewire, to rebuild, to evolve. You're not broken because you're suffering. You're becoming. The pain is real, but so is the power waiting on the other side. But what exactly is this pain doing inside us? Why does it feel so overwhelming and yet somehow necessary? In the next section, we'll explore the anatomy of inner pain and how it reveals the truth we often try to avoid. Inner pain isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, like a heaviness in your chest or a restless feeling in your soul. It sneaks in during the quiet moments, when the noise fades and you're left alone with yourself. But that's where healing begins. In stillness, in honesty, in surrender. There are different kinds of suffering. Emotional pain from rejection or heartbreak. Spiritual pain from feeling disconnected or lost. Existential pain, when you wonder why you're even here. Each of these wounds whispers truths we often try to silence. But what we suppress, we carry. And what we carry too long eventually weighs us down. Pain is the body's alarm system, not just physically but emotionally. It signals when something within us needs attention. Often suffering arises not just from what happens to us, but from the resistance to what is. We want life to be different, easier, safer, and when it's not, we fight it. But that resistance only deepens the ache. What if instead, we allowed ourselves to feel fully? In that vulnerability, we often meet the parts of ourselves we've been hiding. The inner child longing to be heard, the grief we never expressed, the fear beneath our anger. These parts don't need to be fixed. They need to be felt. They need to be witnessed without judgment. Pain, when approached with compassion, becomes a teacher. It shows us where we've abandoned ourselves, where we need to forgive, where love was missing. And slowly, with patience, it becomes less of a burden and more of a bridge, leading us toward authenticity. So if pain is a mirror, showing us the parts of ourselves we've forgotten, how do we move through it? What shifts the suffering into strength? Let's explore that next. There's a moment, it may be quiet, it may be sudden, when something shifts. You're still in pain, but something inside you decides, I'm not going to stay here. That moment is the turning point, not because the suffering ends, but because now, it starts to mean something. This shift isn't always dramatic. It can be subtle. A breath where you once held your chest tight. A choice to speak up when silence used to be safer. A decision to show up again, even if your hands are still shaking. Strength doesn't arrive all at once. It builds. moment by moment, choice by choice. Every time you face the pain instead of running from it, you reclaim a piece of yourself. You prove to your mind that you are no longer powerless. What creates this shift? Often, it's surrender. Not giving up, but letting go. Letting go of control. Letting go of the need for answers. Letting go of the belief that healing must look a certain way. In surrender, there is space for transformation. In that space, a new kind of strength is born. Not the armor we wear to protect ourselves, but the resilience that comes from deep acceptance. This strength is quieter than the world expects. It's not about domination or denial. It's about presence, about showing up, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. The pain begins to change. It doesn't disappear, but it loses its grip. Because now you're not just surviving it, you're learning from it. You're growing through it. And in that growth, something sacred unfolds. But strength is not the end of the journey. It's the beginning of a new kind of self. So who do we become after we rise? What does life feel like on the other side of pain? That's where we're headed next. Something changes when you've walked through suffering and come out the other side. The world may look the same, but you don't. You've seen what you're made of. You've felt the depths, faced your shadows, and still, you're standing. This is what rebirth feels like. Not flashy, not perfect, but real. You begin to live more intentionally. You stop chasing things that once defined you. Approval, attention, certainty. You understand now that peace doesn't come from the outside. It's grown from within, in the quiet spaces you once feared, the spaces you now trust. You start to recognize your own strength, not because someone else told you, but because you earned it. Through every sleepless night, every hard conversation, every tear shed in silence. The old you might still echo in your thoughts, but the new you, the one who rose from the wreckage, that version has roots. With this rebirth comes wisdom. You become more compassionate, not just toward others, but toward yourself. You begin to forgive what you couldn't before. You notice beauty in the ordinary. You protect your energy, not out of fear, but from reverence for how far you've come. And maybe the most surprising thing, you stop resenting the pain. You see it now as part of your becoming. It was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to awaken you. This version of you doesn't need to prove anything. You carry a quiet confidence, built on self-trust. You know storms may return, but this time, you're anchored. Now the question becomes, how do you carry this strength forward? How do you live, lead, and love from this new place? In our final section, we'll explore the daily path of integration and what it really means to live with purpose after pain. Healing isn't a destination, it's a rhythm, and integration is where that rhythm begins to settle. This is the phase where strength becomes part of who you are, not just what you survived. It's easy to think the journey ends when the pain fades. But the truth is, the real work begins when life gets normal again, when you're no longer just surviving, but choosing how to live. Each day becomes a canvas, each decision a reflection of who you've become. You learn to protect your peace without guilt, to speak your truth without apology. You stop explaining your evolution to people who never sat with you in your suffering. That's strength in motion. Integration also means remembering the lessons. Pain once taught you to slow down, to listen, to reconnect. Now, in the absence of crisis, you practice those things with intention, through journaling, meditation, walks in nature, or simply pausing before reacting. Not because you're broken, but because you're awake. Purpose grows here too. It doesn't always mean some massive calling. Sometimes it's the quiet decision to be kind, to be real, to be present, to turn your past pain into someone else's hope. You may still feel moments of grief, fear, or doubt, and that's okay. Integration is not perfection. It's living with softness and power at the same time. It's knowing that strength is not the absence of pain. It's your relationship with it. So live fully, love deeply, walk bravely. You've earned it. Not despite your suffering, but because of it. If this journey resonated with you, share it. Someone out there is standing at the edge of their own transformation, and your courage might just be the light they need.